Listen, if you're thinking about buying a house in Rochester, New York, this video is for you. Our team has helped over 100 clients, and one of the biggest things that we've realized is there's some massive mistakes that people make without even realizing it. And by the end of this one, you'll know the exact mistakes that even experienced home buyers make, and also really how to make sure you avoid them. Oh, the intro. What's up, guys? It's your favorite realtor's favorite realtor again. Listen, if you're thinking about buying a house, you probably follow the conventional wisdom and have gotten frustrated by one of three scenarios. Number one, you love the house, but it got outbid in days. Number two, the market is so tough that you can't actually find any kind of inventory. And number three, you spent months looking for the right fit, only for it not to exist. But here's what they're not telling you. People are actively buying houses left and right. Some people are actually getting them below market value, and it's not always about the price. We'll get to that in a second. You see, timing in Rochester, especially when you're thinking about purchasing a property, isn't the same as other markets. Springtime isn't necessarily always the best time to buy. Winter doesn't necessarily mean better deals, and fall, especially in Rochester, doesn't mean the market is slow. Inventory levels, especially in the wintertime, tend to drop even more, and with the competitive nature of the market, it means more competition overall. Places like Brighton and Pittsburgh, even in the January, February marketplaces, are getting homes sold super quick. And areas like South Wedge and Park Avenues tend to sell super fast, especially during the hiring season. The other caveat is specific micro neighborhoods within subsections of markets are going for super duper quick. What I'm trying to say is there's no really timing the market. That's one of the biggest mistakes that you can do. You buy real estate and you wait. And there's such massive conundrums happening with the real estate market that most people can't even explain it. You see, there is a hidden factor that people aren't talking about. That's employment, specifically those massive entities that exist here. You can kind of cycle the market based off of when they tend to hire. Hint, it's January and February. Now, if you have lower inventory levels then, and at the same time, more people looking for employment and housing here, well, it doesn't really make sense. Now, albeit this is April and this is the springtime, one of the biggest things that we have to think about is more buyers, well, they've awoken from hibernation. The second biggest mistake that home buyers are making are costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of our clients actually made a move here from the city, and they absolutely loved the house that they bought. Everything was fantastic. Due to the competitive nature of the market, they decided to go no inspection. Now, we talked about everything with no inspection, what that meant for them, what they were going to be, sort of future pacing and getting the opportunity of, and they were okay with it. See, 5 months later, the HVAC was making some weird noises, and one thing led to another, and they kind of had to get a newer system. Now, albeit the water heater, it really isn't that expensive compared to most other massive things, but at the same time, you have to play into account all the costs, and specifically the inspection factor going with it. One of the biggest mistakes that I see home buyers making is not getting an inspection at all. And I understand the market is so demanding that a lot of properties you can't, but for the ones that you can, you absolutely need to. But here's the thing, not all inspections are made the same. When I first became an agent, one of the big things that people were looking for was the actual foundation and structure of the house. There's inspectors and then there's engineers. You want to make sure that you're working with the right person for the right thing. There's also specialists. You don't just want to have a generic inspector that kind of understands everything, but not really to the best nth degree. The second thing is you don't want to assume the age of this or that. Assumptions kill, especially in the property condition disclosure agreement when it says unknown. Yeah, you want to make sure that you get that checked out. A lot of agents won't even tell you this, but I'm here to make sure that you save money and you're not absolutely stressing. Third thing that you want to understand is specific locations have specific weather patterns, and you want to make sure that you have all that factored into it as well. Here are the key things to look at. Number one, look at foundation assessments, especially in homes that were near industrial areas. Water table evaluations, especially in East Side Valley homes. Snow and ice drainage patterns, especially in the hillside areas. And specialized basement checks, especially in the 19th Ward. You want to use an inspector that actually understands what living in Rochester is like. You want to use someone that's lived here for a while, that's done this for a while, and that can actually help you with everything. And also combining with this, you want to use someone that's not an absolute jerk. You want to make sure that you're using a native to Rochester. One of our team members actually had this inspector that came by a few years ago. And one of the big things that they said, they opened the door and said, I wouldn't even buy this piece of junk. It had us fuming. An inspector, his job is to inspect. You want to make sure, especially as the buyer, you're safe. that you're comfortable, and ultimately that you're not going to have this anxiety attack when you are buying this house. Because let me tell you, inspectors that don't know how to communicate properly what's actually happening, yeah, they tend to cause all of us more headaches than not. You want to make sure that you know someone knows how to do their job and can actually communicate very well. And listen, if you want our guide for the best inspectors in Rochester, the best loan officers, the best everyone, give us a call, shoot us a text. We love making these videos. We'd love the opportunity to help you on this move to Rochester. If you're thinking about buying a home in the next year, even the next 90 days, or the next 9 days, give us a call, shoot us a text. All of our information is in the description below and pinned at the top of the comments. The biggest mistakes that Rochester homebuyers make is not understanding that Rochester is different subsets of the same market. You got to understand the school factor. Number one, Brighton has some unofficial sub-districts that affect property. Next is the 300-yard rule. Properties in walking distance to top-rated schools have a 12 to 18% increase in their resale value. And there's also some hidden boundary changes that are happening in 2026 that absolutely are going to affect resale value. Remember, the schools in these suburban areas of Rochester are actually top-rated amongst Rochester and also amongst New York as a whole. Our city's school district, it's got some issues and they're working on some things, but Brighton, Pittsford, Webster are some of the best ranked schools in the entire area. That's going to affect the actual costs associated with the properties. Remember to actually understand the costs of taxation with everything that's going on in the property in these specific areas. Homes that are sold in the areas, and see how much higher the taxation has jumped after their purchase. Because the last thing that you want is to get into this beautiful, beautiful property and not be able to afford the taxes. And let me tell you, some of these homes, the taxes can get up to $30,000 or even $40,000. All of these things, there's one massive mistake that all buyers make that it costs them thousands of dollars. Here it is. That's thinking that the traditional financing approach is the best one, because I'm going to tell you, it's not. Common mistakes are using national lenders that don't understand what's specifically happening in Rochester, choosing the wrong loan type for specific homes in the neighborhoods, and missing out on Rochester's specific programs that exist here. Now, what you do want to do is use local lenders that exist in the market. You want to get pre-approved before you start shopping at homes, and ultimately you want to understand all the first-time homebuyer grants that exist. You want to figure out what the best loan type for you specifically is, and ultimately you want to figure out how you can maximize your profits on the property. Listen, we work with the best loan officers in the entire Rochester area, and I'm not fictitious when I say this. By the numbers, they're the best. But here's why that's so freaking important, is because these guys have lived in Rochester their entire lives. They live, work, and breathe the market. They understand what's happening. Someone that's with Rocket Mortgage, no shade to Rocket Mortgage, they're not going to understand what's happening specifically here. Our real estate pattern is so different compared to the market, just overall, that you need, just trust me when I say this, you need someone that's specifically located here. Our team sold about 130 homes in 2024. And most of those were with local lenders that work here in Rochester. I can't even begin to tell you the number of times that our clients come with mortgages that are national, that took them 2 steps to do. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, they weren't able to buy the house. Use someone local, use someone that you trust, and ultimately use someone that actually understands what's going on. I'll tell you this, sometimes buyers actually get homes over higher offer dollar value. Why is that the case? Well, it's the financing type. It's the actual contingencies within the mortgage, and it's the certainty that the seller has the buyer can actually close on the property. Just because you write an offer for $300,000 over asking price doesn't mean that you're going to get it if people aren't certain that you can actually close. And I think that's one of the misnomers of buying a house. When you go under contract, that's only half the battle. The second half is getting the property to actually close and getting that title and deed under your name. So how do you avoid these costly home buying mistakes? Well, research specific neighborhoods and see what's going on. Connect with local lenders that are actually here and look at all the data, especially in the past. What neighborhoods are getting new construction? What neighborhoods are revitalized? What neighborhoods are getting shops and Starbucks and McDonald's? Remember, the Starbucks effect, it is a real thing. Do your research. When you're writing the offer, make sure that you're maximizing what the seller is looking for, whether it be a quick closing date, whether it be no concession, whether it be the highest and best. Number 2, you want to work with someone that's specifically here, that understands the wording behind the sections and can connect with the selling party and give them the confidence they need to actually go with your offer. And number 3, write the offer in a way that it's beautiful for both parties, right? Sometimes ego goes into account. 30 years ago, my mentor was telling me this. They had an offer which was $95,000 and $100,000. The $100,000 offer had a $5,000 concession. They went with that one simply because of ego, even though at the end of the day, the seller was going to net the same amount. You gotta know how to play these games. The bottom line is this: Rochester's market rewards people that understands how to play the game. It rewards people that know what's going on. It rewards people that has the local connections. And I bet you know that we got that. But listen, if you're not scared about this video, I shared an entire guide on the A to Z guide of living in Rochester, New York. Remember that video right here? Watch it, and I'll see you soon. Peace.